Sup, y'all? Live TV, Little Sean in the house. Both the books. They nice. Me and my dad wrote them. Well, I didn't write them, but I'm a part of this channel, as you can see. My dad wrote these books. Get them. They're both for 15. Fly books, because my dad made them. And go on gunbypublishing.bigcartel.com and get the fly t-shirts, because my dad made them. We got a black one. I got that fan look one, because my dad loved the fan look. That's what he always say. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to say that stuff to you. Stigmatism in my soul. Go on YouTube, buy the books, buy the t-shirts. Peace.
Yo, podcast with Soul. Burrell, what's going on?
What's going on, Sean?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. Life is good. Hey, just busy as ever.
Thank you for the hospitality, man.
Anytime. You're always welcome. When you come to Ohio, you come to Cleveland, this becomes your city.
So let's start there. You born and raised in Cleveland?
I was born and raised in Toledo, so not too far, about 100 miles from Cleveland. Primarily, I was born in Toledo, but I've been in Cleveland ever since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
So,
How old are you now?
63.
63.
Yes.
All right. Now, Burrell, you what was it like? You grew up in a two-parent household in Toledo?
No. In Toledo, my parents got divorced early. So, we all, left my father in Toledo, and family moved here to Cleveland.
You have brothers and sisters?
Yes. It was a total of 3 of us. So first came to Cleveland, it was a culture shock because I was used to the 2-family household, suburban community, parents divorced, now I'm in the middle of the ghetto. And so we had to do some adjusting because I grew up where you could leave your doors unlocked.
In Toledo?
In Toledo. And once you get to Cleveland, the Black Nationals was rolling and it was just destruction and a lot of chaos.
What side of Cleveland did you move to?
The east side, St. Clair and Glenville.
Okay, St. Clair, that's where the Bone Thugs and Harmony do. St. Clair.
Exactly. Matter of fact, where we moved to wasn't far from that, right off 105. So it was some rough times over there then. So a lot of transitions, a lot of adjusting, and my mother, God bless her soul, had 3 sons, so she had to struggle and work and then try to maintain, raising 3 boys. So it was a challenge for her.
And your pop stayed in Toledo?
My pop stayed in Toledo, and eventually he moved to Atlanta.
Did you and your pop stay close?
We stayed close. Yes, we did stay close.
When y'all moved to Cleveland?
When we moved to Cleveland. It was challenging because it was different times then. So yes, we stayed pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So
all Cleveland public schools?
Yes. Until I got to the 7th grade, and then my mother was able to buy a nice home in Cleveland Heights. So then, we all moved up there, and that's where I graduated from.
Okay.
So,
What kind of student were you?
a bad student. Ended up dropping out in the 12th grade, smoking marijuana, sampling with different other type of drugs, in and out of jail, just chaos.
Why'd you drop out, Burrell?
I wanted to work. I wanted to make money. So, my mother, again, being a single mother, raising 3 boys, there was never enough. So I wanted to make my own money. So back then, you experiencing selling drugs and working jobs and, growing up and trying to do whatever you want to do.
So during high school, you was involved with the law. You got involved.
Yes. Yeah. It all started out doing juvenile stuff, stupid stuff like filling up your gas tank and leaving, running off, getting free gas, and then it went to little petty stuff, snatching purses, and pretty much that was it, little stealing and all that little petty stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as I got to the 12th grade and I'm hanging with a different crowd, that's when we all got into drugs. Whether selling drugs and using drugs, it was just, that was right before the crack epidemic. Fortunately, that was never a drug of my choice. I'm from that era when they was freebasing, and so you know, my little group of friends, we selling drugs and using drugs, and it was just total madness. You know, rock and roll concerts and just whatever I felt like doing.
Now, what was your relationship? What was your relationship like with your mother at this point while you going through this?
Well, it was naturally hard on her, but my mother was always my rock. She's always been my rock from every single moment. You know, my mother's gonna be there. She gonna fight. She gonna, you know. Now it was funny because I could never really tell her the real truth because she ain't gonna fight that hard if I tell her the real truth.
Right.
So as long as she believed her baby innocent, she gonna break back.
And that was the role you played.
That's the role I played. And then when it got to a point where I got in more serious trouble, you know, I used to own a drive-through beverage store. And
When was this?
this was I went through a crippling disease that I basically couldn't even walk for 3 or 4 years.
What disease is that?
It's called CIDP for short, chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyradical neuropathy. Basically, I couldn't even lift a gallon of milk. So I went through that. This might have been in 91, 92.
How did that come on, bro?
I don't know. It was a rare nerve disease.
Just out of the blue?
Out of the blue.
You just chilling, you going through life, and then boom.
I done signed up for college. You know, I'm still wilding. I'm going to college full time. So I'm living on campus. Then I'm running back to Cleveland. I was going to Kent State.
Fully healthy?
Fully healthy. Just running.
How old are you?
Now I'm 63.
No.
Back then, At that time, I had to be 27, 28.
Wow. In your prime.
In my prime. Just running back and forth. I always drove fast cars. Whenever you see me, I'm jumping steps. I'm not just, you know, I'm taking 2 steps at a time. Just always moving. So back then, I was going to college full time. I had a full-time job. I got me a place at the college, and I got own my own home. So I'm running back and forth. And all of a sudden, I felt like I'm getting weak and I can't walk. And my mother and my aunt says, no, something ain't right. I'm not even paying attention that something was wrong. And my parents and my aunt looked at me and said, well, my mom and my aunt looked at me and said, no, something not right. So I get checked out, and they couldn't find what it was at first. Then I found this one doctor who literally saved my life. He found out what it was. They put me on steroids, and they did a procedure called plasmapheresis, where they take out all the plasma. They separate the plasma from your blood because the plasma is what held the antibodies that was fighting against my body. So basically, I was crippled for 3 years. And then once I got out,
Couldn't walk.
Couldn't walk.
You in the bed for 3 years?
I slowly, for the most part, yes. I can crawl. Matter of fact, even when I take a bath to get in the bathtub, I would literally have to get a walker, get to the bathtub, sit on the bathtub, get in the bathtub, then crawl out of the bathtub, wedge myself on top of the toilet, get on my walker, then I can get back.
At 27, 28 years old?
That's right. That's right.
Where you was going to college at?
Kent State University. I went for 1 year.
What was your major?
Accounting.
You was accounting major?
Accountant.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm an accountant. I got
yeah.
my degree in accounting.
Yeah. So as I started coming out, I made a decision. Either
Started coming out of what?
out of my sickness.
Okay.
I started getting better. So I made a decision. I can go and finish accounting. That's going to take me 4 more years. Or I can take this $3,000 that I got from Social Security and start my business. So I started my first store. A little small store.
In Cleveland?
In Cleveland. You might not be familiar with the old Lawson's store, but it was a Lawson's building. And when I went in my first store, it was nothing in there but a Coca-Cola cooler and all empty space. And I built my own, because I had a background. When I dropped out of high school, I went and worked in a grocery store, and I did that for 10 years.
So you had that experience
I had
under
that
your belt.
experience. So back then it was like, okay, I'm not skilled at doing anything. So as much as I hated the store business, that's all I knew. And matter of fact, I remember one time I was trying to get a job, and the guy told me, he says, well, you got a good work record. You worked 10 years, but we don't have cans to stock here. This is a different type of business. So you don't have any skills. So I took my money and I started my first store. And it was literally empty. I'll never forget, my mama would come in, and I started selling chicken wings, and we were selling, I purposely sold Shasta and Faygo Pop, because you can buy 6 cans for $1 and I can sell them 50-cent can. My ex-wife back then told me, well, why don't we sell Pepsi or Coke? I said, because I need to profit out of the Shasta. I'm gonna get this, it's still 50 cents. If there's people want, I was bold enough to say, if people want Coke, they gotta go to the store down the street. I know if it's hot, they're gonna buy pop. So we built that store. A year and a half later, that same store I started for $3,000. I sold the business for $45,000. And then I bought me another building on St. Clair Avenue.
How old are you at this point, bruh?
I had to be 32, 33.
And just coming out of your disease.
Coming out of my disease when I...
Having been paralyzed and couldn't walk for 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
you're coming out, start a business.
Started a business.
With $3 grand and then sell it for 45 grand.
That's right.
How long after you started it?
A year and a half. Now, even before that, I had the building. Then I ended up, because I always believe, see, I don't believe in what you can't do. It's how can you do it. So between that time, I even opened up a gas station. And it was on the edge of Bradenall, was a high-end community. And I told my workers, because I'm not a mechanic, I said, listen, we are jackleg mechanics, but we're not going to look like it. So I bought me a white service shirt, and my workers had uniforms, had the mechanic uniforms on, and the station had a lift that sat in front of the garage. It was an outdoor lift. Really didn't make sense, but it, you know, it's what it was. Talk to your owner, he says, go ahead, do your thing, make you some money. A lot of opportunity come from the fact that people have businesses and places, but nobody's willing to take it, because most people, the older generation, they use that particular business to send their kids to college. The kids don't want to come back. So they're always, even to this very day, they're looking for somebody new to take over. Is passing the torch. But it's very rare to find people who's willing to take that, especially nowadays, because this is a microwave world. Everybody wants everything quick. So I started my store. Then I'm running the gas station. Luckily, there's only 2 houses separated 2, so I'm still basically on a walker. So I'm running back and forth, running both of the businesses. I ended up giving the gas station to my family members because it became overwhelming. And then between that, I opened up a caramel apple company.
A what?
Caramel apple business.
Caramel apples.
Yes. And how that started was I was in the grocery store and I bit this caramel apple. Caramel apple's good.
Yeah.
It's called Tasty. Matter of fact, they still popular now. Tasty brand caramel apple. So I read the label. I said, this apple's so good. I can sell these. So I called the company, had them bring me up. They brought a semi up, brought me a pallet of apples, took the semi home, blocked off the whole street, dropped off the apples. I had a little raggedy van. And what I would do, I would take 10 cases. I left my store and I went in a square. Went up the street, made a right, made a left, made another left, then came back. So I ran in a complete circle. And I would drop the apples in the stores. Now I would tell, back then a lot of Arabs owned the stores. I said, look, you don't have to pay me. Let me drop my apples in your store. If they don't sell, I'll come and get them. If they sell, you get your money, I get my money. Apple selling. I got a route now. So I'm making, now caramel apple business started at the end of August. And it ends on Halloween. Between that period of time, I done made 10 grand cash off of simple caramel apples. It was my business and another company that only 2 distributors distributing something very simple like caramel apples. And it made it simple. I got the product, I set it into place. It was no loss to nobody else, so people didn't mind taking a chance. When I go in their store, I'll make sure they gave me the freedom to set the apples where I wanted to set them in their store.
Mm. Now, Burrell, you smoking weed through all this time?
All that, yes.
Your drug addiction is...
No. I quit smoking weed.
When did you start smoking weed?
I started smoking weed maybe 7th grade.
12, 13 years old?
Something like that, yeah. I quit smoking. Matter of fact, this was phenomenal. When I got out of my sickness, it maybe was a year later, I knew I needed to be the best. This is what I said to myself. We are behind, especially as a black man. We're behind. Now, I quit smoking weed. I might have been in early 30s. And I said, we're behind.
You stopped completely.
Completely, cold turkey. Because I woke up one day and said, wait a minute. Side subject. I have a problem with them legalizing it today, but I'll have to say that in a minute. So I said, okay, we struggling. We're trying to make a way in black society. We truly can't afford to sleep at night. That's how far behind we are. So I'm not going to put nothing in my brain that hinder my movement. I'm coming out of sickness and my life has just fell off the cliff and I got to get my life back. I'm accustomed to living a certain type of way. So I eliminated every block in my mental capacity. One thing about when you smoke weed, what does it do? It makes you chill. You want a nice cold beer, it puts you in a little relaxed state. We can't afford to be in a relaxed state. I remember one song I heard back then and I hated it with a passion. It said, don't worry, be happy. And I'm saying to myself, as a black man, I ain't got, what you mean don't worry, be happy? I better worry and stop being so happy and start taking care of my business. So I quit the weed within a year, because it typically takes a year for your brain to clear and get out your system. From that point on, I never looked back.
You never went back and smoked weed after that?
Never, ever. Never. What I was able to accomplish from having a clear brain and that $3,000, my life is totally different to this very day. So then I advanced. I ended up buying another building. My first store, I didn't own the building. I just leased it. I started that store with $3,000, sold it a year and a half later, the business for $45,000. Moved into a grocery store sized building. Bought the building on a land contract. Again, there's people who's willing to give you opportunity. But when they give you opportunity, now it's your turn to grind. I literally built an apartment. Even in my first store, during that time when I got my first store, I owned a 2-family home. I moved out of my home and leased out my whole house and moved me and my wife into the back of my first store. The only reason I moved out of that because my second son was born. It was and he was born in February, so it was too March. It was too cold to bring a newborn baby. It's too drafty. So I got an apartment for my wife and my son. Once I sold that business, then we bought a bigger building, and there was an old-fashioned walk-in cooler. I turned that into our bedroom. I literally lived in my building.
Where your business was?
Where my business was. To this very day, I still believe in that philosophy. And my colonic center today, when I started it, I lived in it. And what I do, I put my whole mind, thought, soul, energy into my business. So if I got a vision, I engulf myself, and I had a home. I engulf myself in what I do because I need to get myself so involved where I want to build my business, and my everything, every thought, every movement goes into building my business.
Now, Burrell, what's your background? Are you foundational Black American, or you're people from the islands? Or?
No. My family originated from Alabama.
Y'all out of Alabama?
We out of Alabama. That my mother and father was born and raised.
And then their mothers and fathers was out of Alabama.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, Burrell, you end up. So now, Burrell, you're building all these businesses, but you end up at some point going to federal prison.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Okay. When I moved on to St. Clair, my big business, my big building, you could look up at the roof and count the stars. The building was a wreck. During that time, I had got involved in real estate. Bought me a 4-unit building, 2-family house, and I got the store going. Then I even actually had both stores going. So I'm really to progress out of my sickness.
You fully legit?
No.
Okay.
No.
You ain't selling drugs or nothing like that?
No. Yes. No. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm gonna let you tell the story.
Okay. I get on St. Clair. I'm starting raw. When I'm in, even when I'm in my first building, I'm making it anyway. I come from the street, so you hustling every way you can. I got the boosters bringing me clothes in. I'm selling high-end clothes with the price tags on it. People coming. In the wintertime, I'm a clothing store. Everything is moving. I got the pinball machines in there. The city says you can't have them. They say I'm gonna come out on Wednesday to see if they removed. I had a connection where they come and pick up the machines on Tuesday and bring them back on Thursday. It's all serious. So I go to prison the first time and I do 17 months, and that was for drugs.
State prison?
State prison.
State of Ohio?
State of Ohio.
What you was charged with?
I had a gun charge. Well, this was crazy. I had carrying a concealed weapon, drug possession with disability, drugs over the legal limit, and I was facing 7 to 10 years.
What kind of drugs? What kind of drugs you had?
Cocaine. I was selling cocaine back then.
You getting high off cocaine too?
Not during that time.
Okay, you just selling.
I was selling. Now, when I was coming out of high school, we was all base heads.
Right.
By the time I got to, again, I'm drug free.
Right.
I became drug free when I started my first store. My building on St. Clair was so in disarray, I needed to get me some money to fix my building. So I knew I'm street connections, so I'm selling drugs, but I did it what I think different. I didn't sell drugs for a lifestyle. I sold drugs to build my business. So I put a new roof on my building, and I had some fun, bought bikes and cars and did all that. But I would end up selling it because my priority was always my business. So I did what I had to do to get the money to fix my business.
How'd you get busted?
Matter of fact, there's a guy that I know that was basically supplying the city. And as I was growing and I was serious about my money, see, my money wasn't out there for flash. So jealousy came in. So the same guy that was supplying me was the same guy that turned me in. So anyway.
When he got busted?
Yes. So they sentenced me to 7 to 10 years. This is where I'm so grateful for my mother. My store was a mini mall. I had a barber shop in there. I had a music store in there. I had a clothing store, a delicatessen, a drive-through beverage store. Back then, we were selling pagers and we were selling cell phones.
These are all tenants, or?
I had all tenants, but my store. My store was a drive-through beverage store.
Right, but then you had these stores. These were tenants that were.
The barbershop I ran, it was my barbershop. I hired the barbers. But I leased out the music store, and I leased out the delicatessen, I leased out the clothing store. I ran the barbershop, the U-Haul, the cell phone business, and the drive-through beverage store.
Okay.
I got to be 36 during this time. I'm cleaning up.
Okay.
Cleaning up. Hottest thing on St. Clair.
Okay.
When I went to prison the first time, my mother literally went inside my store, put a bed next to my drive-through window, and kept my store open 24/7.
Now, Burrell, you say you got sentenced to 7 to 10 years?
7 to 10 years.
How much drugs they caught you with?
The crazy part about it, they caught me with some chunks, but the police took it and crushed it up. And the guidelines was if it was anything over 72 rocks is a different sentencing. And so they had crushed it up to make it look like I was selling rocks. So I ended up getting an attorney. My first attorney gave him 10 grand to lose my appeal. And I remember I'm in prison and I'm fighting appeal. And it was, to me, one of the funniest things because on April Fool's Day, my attorney told me I lost my appeal. I'm like, nah, you got to be telling me April Fool's joke. There's no way I gave you all this money, I lost my appeal. I ended up hiring another attorney, and everything was quiet. And the next thing I do, I get a call say, you're on your way home. So I did 17 months out of 17.
Based off appeal.
based off the appeal.
Okay.
No, the appeal I lost.
All right.
Based off my attorney going back to the judge and saying, "Come on, that's crazy." So even during that time in prison, the first time. Now the positive aspect, I learned more about the Bible and God than I did in my entire life. I would like to say I went and got penitentiary religion. But it was the only time that I had that I was forced upon me to take the time to read and learn the Bible. So naturally, when I came home, I was excited about that. When I came home, I came back to my store, but because I'm a felon, I lost my liquor license. So that's how I got into real estate. Never forget this. I was introduced to hard money lending. And I went and had a meeting, and I met these two guys, and they said, "Look, we'll fund 100% of what you do." Now, I humbly say I'm very ambitious. And I said, "I don't have to have nothing, no money, no credit, no nothing." They said, "You don't need nothing. Just buy the house, rehab the house, and sell it." During that time, I had a couple of friends. I told two of my buddies, I said, one of my buddies introduced me to him. During that time, me and my best friend went to the meeting. When I left that meeting, I went into my store, and I told my wife then, "I'm shutting this store down. I'm going into real estate 100%. So I got into the flipping houses. And again, I work very hard. I'm coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning. This is 7 days a week. It was a camaraderie because everybody that was serious about the business, you would almost see them at the house when you're looking at the house. It took a while. I had systems where all the realtors and lenders, I had a complete system going. And I like to call it a 30-house system that I did every single month. Every month I sold 10 houses. Every single month I bought 10 houses. And I'm rehabbing. So that was my cycle. Selling 10, buying 10, and working on 10 every single month. And I had a system where I'm buying these houses, and I did something unique. I made my money on the inside of the deal. So as the contractor, when I bought the house, I literally made my money because I built my profit into the construction. So when I sold the house, it was just paying my lender back. So I was able to sell houses cheaper than all my competitors. And during that time, it was modern day bank robbing with a pencil. I would allow the people, let's say I sold all single families for $60,000 and I sold all two families for $65,000 regardless of the house. The house might be worth $100, $150, and I allowed the people to pull the equity out of the houses. So I'll have a lady and she'll buy 5 houses at a time from me. But she wasn't buying the houses for the house, she was buying the houses for the checks. She'll make $150,000. My punishment was,
This is related to your Fed case?
this was my Fed case. I went to federal prison for conspiracy to commit bank fraud. And I had 18 counts of bank fraud and 1 count of conspiracy. You can't beat conspiracy. So I took a plea deal and took the conspiracy. They gave me 5 years. I had opened up my colonic center. During that time, when they knocked on my door, I knew that I was going because the task force was in Cleveland, the federal government. The task force was in Cleveland busting people with mortgage fraud. And I'm on the top 5 list of pushing properties. So I knew they was coming. So when they came, gave my attorney's business card.
They came to your house?
They came to my business.
To the colonic business?
To the colonic business. 'Cause
you was there?
I was there. In 2008, real estate market crashed. Everybody was pretty much out of business.
Right.
We weren't making that kind of money that we were making.
In 05, 06, and 07.
Exactly. So in 2008.
They knock on the door?
They knocked on the door in 2010. So literally, I took a 2-year vacation because I still had enough income coming out from rental properties that I didn't do nothing for 2 years. So I opened up my colonics center, and they knocked on the door, and I gave them a business card. They
It was one. How many guys came?
two guys,
2 agents.
2 agents. I knew what it was, and I knew I was going.
What'd they say, Ron?
They said, this is the FBI, and we need to talk to you. So I gave them my attorney's card. I said, give them a call. You guys do the arrangements, I'll meet you. So went through all the arrangements. During that time, they labeled me the kingpin of my group. And they were threatening me with 18 years. It was 18 years. No, 26 years. I was facing 26 years if I don't went to trial. Now, unfortunately, I bragged that I didn't sell houses, I sold checks. So on the spiritual component, that was my punishment because I had the opportunity to do things right. And if I had did things different, I literally could have made the same money without breaking the law.
So you knew you was breaking the law?
Oh, no, no doubt about it. I remember even going back, I used to tell, when I come out of selling drugs, I was a role model in the community. And I would tell the young brothers, I was like, look, change your product. So I went from drugs to selling canned goods, selling beer and wine, all that. But I hadn't changed my mindset. So I'm selling everything from real estate and everything with the same mindset of selling drugs.
Same criminal, same get over slick mentality.
Exactly, exactly. And I was good at it. Well, when we met, it was over. Now, what I did, they gave me 5 years.
All right, so how long did the process take from when the 2 agents came to your house and you gave them the card to see your lawyer? That's in 2010.
This is 2010.
When did you eventually go to court and get sentenced? You accepted a plea agreement.
I accepted the plea agreement. It was about a year and a half. I got locked up in 2012.
So they came at you with a plea.
They came in with a plea.
60 months.
60 months. And it was literally comical because the prosecutor sitting on one side, my attorney sitting in the middle, and I'm sitting on the other side. And they knew that they had me. They falsely made some statements. Now, I was guilty. For example, they said I was staging houses, that the shower, then the wall wasn't attached. You can pull it out. And I'm like, these houses are rented with Section 8 tenants. So that's not true.
Right. That's not going to happen. They're going to pass Section 8.
Exactly. So I never forget the prosecutor told me, says, well, I said, come on, guys, you know there's some BS. They said, okay, well, you can take it to a jury and tell them. So you can fight, but you can take a chance on 26 years or you can take the 5 years.
How much? What was your loss? What did they say? Your
$1.4 million.
$1.4 million.
Yeah.
Bank fraud.
That's right.
18 counts.
18 counts.
Okay.
So I'm talking to the prosecutor back and forth. I would say, unfortunately, when I got in trouble, I'm no longer afraid because I've been in trouble so many times that I know how to negotiate. I'm negotiating with my life and my freedom. So I'm not afraid to speak up. So I'm telling him, come on, this is bull. And he literally looked at me and said, yeah. So take it to the jury. So I believe in using my brain. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to go in front of a jury, young black man that has ran through millions of dollars, and tell a jury who's been paying a mortgage for 30 years, how can I sell that? So, and it was so funny, I looked at the prosecutor and said, you got me, give me the 5 and let me go.
Did they ask you to cooperate?
Yes, of course. But I was a head person, so there's no cooperation. So matter of fact, a lot of other 12, 11 people in my case was working against me as well. So
people that you knew?
People that I knew.
Was cooperating against you?
Of course, of course.
How'd that make you feel?
It was really no feeling because that's part of the game. When you threaten with prison time, people gonna do what they gotta do to save their own skin. So it's business. Everything, it's not emotional. So you can't say I enjoyed the fruits of this crime, and then when the crime goes sour, you start pointing fingers and blame. You know, they got an old song, old movie. They say if you can't do the crime, don't do the. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. So I come from that era that I knew what I did, and I wasn't complaining when I was living the lifestyle. So I'm not gonna complain now. You just take the punishment, you get over it, and then you learn from it. Now this time when we was all together, I didn't squander my time.
All right, so let's talk about that. So you get sentenced to 60 months.
60 months.
Where they send you to?
Morgantown,
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Did they lock you up the day you got sentenced? Did they lock
No.
you up right then?
No.
They gave you a self-secured bond,
They gave, it was
reconnaissance bond.
No, it was just self-surrender.
So you had to self-surrender the
Yes,
wrong time.
yes, yes.
They gave you 60 days.
Matter of fact, it might have been about 60 days. Matter of fact, I even turned myself in early. I was supposed to surrender like January 13th, and I wasn't going to put my mother through all that for Christmas. So I went in before Christmas. I just got on the bus and turned myself in.
Okay. So you go to Morgantown. When you get to Morgantown, what's your thought process when you get to prison?
My thought process was to change my thinking.
How old are you at this point?
Oh my God, I've been home 8 years now. So take 8, that's 55, take away 4 from that, I'm like 50.
So you get sentenced to prison at 50 years old.
50 years old.
5 years.
5 years.
Okay. So you get. So what's your mental state like when you get to Morgantown?
Adjusting to the new environment what was enjoyable. It wasn't what I expected. One thing I've learned, there's 3 types of crimes and there's only 3 types of prisons. Every single category of crimes fit under 3 categories: money, violence, and sex. Every single crime you can imagine fits under those categories. I went to a money prison. Because I had no violence in my background, I was able to go to a money prison. There's no fence in a money prison. So when I got to Morgantown, matter of fact, I was on the bus, the West Virginia bus, that passed by the prison because he didn't know where the prison was. So I got off the bus and I walked myself into prison.
Now you said that you were going to change it. You changed your thinking. You were.
I focused. I wasn't going to do penitentiary religion. I focused on a plan, what I'm going to do when I get out. What I share with people to this very day, have a direction and a vision, bigger than 1 year, 5 years. I can talk to people my age today, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now? They couldn't tell you. They'll give you some broad answers. What I did, first, I spent most of my time on the phone because I did all that I could to stay connected to the outside world. I also formed real estate and talking groups. I spent my time educating myself mainly internally, getting myself a vision, getting a plan. What I'm going to do when I get out. I literally wrote down 10-year goals and then how I was going to accomplish them year by year. I still have that prison paper today. I emailed everybody in my family and friends, this is what I'm going to do when I get home. So that once I got home, there's no misunderstanding. I'm going to get on my grind. In prison, as we said earlier, you're either $300 rich or $300 poor. I was fortunate enough that I was still making my money off the real estate I owned. So I was able to sustain my own lifestyle.
Talk about that $300 rich, $300 poor, bro.
In the federal system, you only can spend, I don't care if you get $10 million, you only can spend $300 a month. That's it.
On commissary.
On commissary. You only get 300 minutes on the phone. You got to manage your minutes,
What if you run out of minutes early?
If you run out of minutes early, you better know officer or something that'll give you a break and let you make an emergency call. And I wore all that out because I forced to stay connected. So I was able to go to different officers, lieutenants, who would let me make a phone call, let me do this. Because I would always burn my minutes. It would take me less than a week to burn up all my minutes. I knew a lot of people that were very disciplined. They can get on the phone and do 10 minutes a day. And they got their watch and they clocking down. I wasn't that disciplined. So I would always burn up my minutes.
So now, but that structure of being only able to spend $300 a month while you were in prison, how much time did you do all together?
46 months. Okay, talk about that. I only spent $200 a month, and most of mine was phone. I didn't have to go out there and put a whole bunch of tennis shoes under my bunk. I kept minimum stuff. Even though I could afford it, I disciplined myself. First of all, I'm not in here to be stylish. I'm in here to pay the price for what I did wrong, but not only pay the price, analyze within myself, why do I keep putting myself in this position? So the punishment is being there, but if you got to do more than just accept the punishment, you got to internalize and figure out what is it that you're doing that you are putting yourself in these negative positions. And I was too old to keep having to build up, then get knocked back down and start all over again. So I spent my time, and I reached above me. I didn't go hang with people. I had a few people that I would mentor to, very minimum people that I would consider my peers. I went and put myself to people that I can normally get you. See, when you're out here, there's a certain group of people you can't reach. There, I can talk to executives of companies or lobbyists or government officials. So I put myself around people that can raise me up in thinking. So I had to break out of the box that I lived in, not even knowing that I was living in a box. I took the time to take advantage of the exposure to be around people who are just as ambitious, who broke the law like me, but have learned and really trying to get their lives back together.
You ran into a lot of corporate executives?
Exactly.
Governors, mayors, all that?
Exactly. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to open up a dialysis center. And my motivation was a guy that I met in Morgantown. I'm like, when he told me about it, he says, Ron, you're doing the colonic center, and you're making $65 a client. Well, do you know that when on dialysis treatment, that's almost $2,000? But in my mindset, because my mind is still living in the box, I can't do that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not this. We always put limits on what we can't do instead of thinking about what we can do and figuring out how can we do it. So being in that environment, so I had a sample of that prior to going to prison when I met this one brother who was building new construction. I build homes too. I build homes. I had that exposure because this one brother that I met, this brother could not read and was building fine homes.
This was at Morgantown?
This was before Morgantown.
Okay.
This is before. This is while I'm on the streets. This is while I'm still rehabbing actually, and this is actually before the market crashed. So, but I didn't do nothing with that. But I was impressed by this guy. Because I know I'm a hard worker. This guy ran rings around me. If I worked 10 hours a day, this guy was doing 12. This guy would be up at 6 in the morning. My time is 8 o'clock in the morning. He up at 6 in the morning at his job site. Could not read. Had owned two separate $1 million homes, driving Rolls Royces. Now he was in the criminal activity too. Same thing.
Right.
But beside that, again, that was misguided ambition and motivation. And it comes from the world that we grew up in, thinking that crime is the only way you can do it.
Right.
So we wasn't raised to see another way. But the guy still impressed me because he taught me there's no excuses. We make excuses of why we can't do. This guy couldn't read.
Now, Perel, you do your 46 months?
46 months.
46 months, and you get out.
I get out.
What happens now?
When I get out, I come home. I still had my home. I had let family, my children live there. I had maybe 3 rental properties left. My business, my Colonic Center's closed down. My income is to a minimum.
How much money you got when you get out of prison?
I might have been making, as far as a bank account, nothing. But I still had income that might have been making me $2,000-3,000 a month. So, and after expenses, that's nothing. So I went back to, I've always believed you do what you know to get the money to do what you love. And hopefully they're the same thing. But if not, you do what you know to get the money to do what you love. So when I get home, I'm like, okay. When I left going to Morgantown, I had the Colonic Center. I was actually done with real estate. The Colonic Center is a business.
You used to talk about that all the time.
Yeah. When I tell you, right now, after I finish my dialysis center, I'm going to open up a Colonic Center in different states. It's going to be big as McDonald's one day. I just want to live long enough to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I said that back in Morgantown.
Mm-hmm. So you come home, and you're starting all over.
I'm starting over. Literally, I have nothing. I got a few rental properties and they're in disarray, so the money that I'm making, I got to put back into properties because everything ran down.
Right.
If I'd have did 3 more years, everything would have been gone. I told my mother, she says, okay, you can have these properties and everybody doing ready to family. I said, no, I need everybody to pretend like I'm still in prison. And I still conditioned myself that I didn't come out here and start spending money. I only spent $200 a month there. I'm only going to spend $200 a month being free. I didn't buy clothes. I didn't go feel like need to get caught up. I didn't buy no cars. I went to my old friend and got my hard money loan. And I rehabbed my first house. And I'm walking from my house to this house every day. And I used to laugh. I can, as I'm talking to you, I can visually walking up Taylor Road to my rehab project. And I got on my scrubs. You see, I'm not wondering, this is me. No fancy dresser. And I'm like, these people are watching me walk down the street and probably think I'm a bum. Nobody can see me. They can't see what's in my head.
Right.
They can't see my potential. And it's the 4th of July and everybody's doing their festive thing. None of that. My family's here in Cleveland. No picnics, no 4th of July, no nothing. All grind.
Now, Ron, since you've gotten out, this building that we're in, you bought this building.
I bought this building. Oh my God.
How much is your real estate portfolio worth now?
Ooh, a few $1 million.
And you started from nothing. From getting out of Morgantown.
Nothing. No. This is what I started with. Determination, focus, and 1,000% grind.
In 8 years.
In 8 years.
Now your real estate portfolio is in excess of a few $1 million.
A few $1 million, yes. Just purchased this building. This is an office building, 10,000 square. When we bought it, we paid like $1.1 million for it. We got tenants in it already. The building was built in 2006.
You got married?
Got married. Now, glad you brought that up. When I came home, my focus wasn't a woman. And at this point in my life, I realized when change of thinking, let me take you back to Morgantown. Part of that 10-year plan I developed was even my relationship. It's the entirety of my life, not just business, my relationship with my mom, my relationship with God. What kind of wife do I want? What kind of man do I want to be?
You got married at Morgantown.
I got married at Morgantown and divorced.
You got married in prison and then divorced in prison.
In prison.
You married her in the visiting room? In
the visiting room, yes. The motivation back then, because when I went to Morgantown, I literally had a $20,000 a month income. That was when I went to Morgantown. That's how much money I was making. I didn't care. I told my family, you guys just send me my $200 a month. Again, I'm making $20,000 a month. But what I'm gonna do with it? I'm there. So you guys handle business, keep my business alive. Send me $200. I don't need $300. Send me $200. Because I'm not going to be, first of all, you only can stuff your box with unhealthy food primarily.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I need all that stuff in my box for? And I'm not going to be having a whole bunch of tennis shoes.
So how did you get married?
Okay. When I left Cleveland on my way to Morgantown, I was dating a young lady, and she literally was running my businesses, my colonic center, my real estate. So it was still selfish motives. I married her to give her motivation to keep my business alive, that you'll be working for us, not just for me, keeping the stuff alive till I get home. Just keep it alive till I got home. So I'm motivating, I'm going to get married for that person. It was selfish.
And you married her in Morgantown?
In Morgantown. Wasn't in love. No. Wasn't the right version of love. It was still manipulating. So that lasted 2 years.
And then you divorced her?
Divorced her. My business, she was running my business down. Thank God she didn't do wrong by me. She took my colonic devices, put them in my basement of my house, and we just divorced and went our own separate ways.
Now you got remarried.
I got remarried. Now.
And you just had a baby.
Just had a baby. 2 years. My baby 2 years old next month.
And you're 63 years old.
63. Happiest I've ever been in my life.
So you had a daughter at 61.
At 61. Happiest moment of my life. I didn't see my daughter. I seen my wife. My wife was part of my vision from Morgantown. God brought my wife to me, and when I tell the story, it's almost a miracle. When I met my wife, I was rehabbing my very first house when I came home, and she called, and she says, and again, I'm invisible because I don't want no attention, so I'm not even on my company's name. I'm invisible. I just don't want to be seen. I don't want to be bothered. And she called, and she knew more. And normally I blow realtors off because as a real estate investor.
Oh, so your wife is a realtor?
She's a realtor. As a real estate investor, I always looked at realtors like you in the way of a deal. All I need is your access. I don't need none that you got. My wife called, and she was very impressive and ambitious, and I wanted to meet her. Now, my wife was very attractive, but that wasn't my motivation. Again, when I'm looking at a relationship, I look for deeper, much deeper. But anyway, when I first met her, I just wanted her on my team. I'm getting ready to build my company back. And she's ambitious, and she's smart, and she's good. And I remember some of my buddies was trying to talk to her. I'm like, okay, I don't care nothing about this, just don't affect my business. And eventually, our relationship grew more. And what really made me started changing, I told her to write her 10-year goals down. And naturally coached her through because a lot of women or men haven't heard this type of conversation before. Put your dreams down on paper. Put a vision together. We always pray for God, if you help me do this, or help me pay these bills, or help me quit drinking. We always use God for a crisis God. Help me get out of this situation. Now, God is bigger than that. So I've learned to ask for more, but what you ask for can't just be for you. It can't be a selfish motive. I can't be asking to drive a brand new Rolls Royce. That doesn't serve him. That serves me. So the things that you pray for and you believe has to be bigger than you.
Now, how long after you met her around did y'all get married?
Oh my God, I met her in 2016. We've been married 2 years now.
Y'all dated for a while?
Yes, yeah. We dated for a while. And
you happy?
I've never been happier. Because again, I learned how to, first of all, if I say I want a queen, I got to work on being a king. That means I got to get myself together. If I'm going to be a head of a household, matter of fact, I remember my ex-wife told me, she said, Ron, I can't follow you. And this is the wife before the Morgantown wife. And now she's talking on a spiritual base because she says, you're not following God. But I took it on another level. Where am I leading her? She said, if you can't lead, then how you expect somebody to follow you? Where are you leading someone? So the first thing, you have to ask yourself, do I qualify for a relationship? What am I bringing to the table to secure my wife, my children? What am I bringing to the table? Now, once I got me together, now let me start looking at a woman more than just a sex object. Because most of us build our relationships out of the bed. We get in bed and we get used to staying in the bed. And then when the bed becomes normal, now you're looking at this person, you ain't got nothing in common. So what I did with my wife, the first thing, what really got me with her, I said, let's work on your 10-year vision and goals. And she told me what it was in writing. And then the second thing, which is most important for us to do, how much does it cost you to get out of bed in the morning? Write your budget down. How do we consider ourselves adults and we don't know what it costs us to live? So she wrote her budget down. This was the funniest thing. She wrote her budget down and realized that she was upside down. She wouldn't speak to me for 3 days because she was mad.
That's funny. That's funny. So Ron, what's on the horizon for you, man? What's
my future is this. We just purchased this building. We just purchased a new home that we're ready. Actually, it's around the corner from the building. I'm working on right now and I just purchased my forever home. This is the home I'll die in. I don't need a 10-bedroom house, a 5-bedroom house. First of all, it's not logical.
It's just 3 of y'all.
Just 3 of us. So I'm not out here trying to impress people.
Going back to the $300 a month.
There you go. I don't need that. This space is comfortable that I can sit out on my back deck and get a nice view of my backyard with a little stream running through it.
With you and your family.
What do you mean my family? I can have company over. If they want to stay a few days, I can do it. I got what I need. I am a businessman. So to squander money in excess works against the logic of business. So we're finishing up that house now. We're going to sell our other home that we're moving out of. I'm cleaning up because I don't want to be a real estate anymore. So I'm cleaning up all my real estate portfolio. I'm going to build this dialysis center. And then behind that, I'm going to start enjoying the quality of life.
My man.
No.
Hey, Ron, man, I appreciate you, man.
Anytime.
You let me stay at your crib last night, man, and I didn't have to get a hotel. I appreciate you. And I remember when I met you, man, you was always sharp. You was always on point. And much success to you, man.
Thank you.
Do you got any social media, anything?
I have a YouTube channel, Ron Burrell Sr. I don't really, I got a Facebook page, but
I'm gonna put that YouTube link underneath the underneath this video. Y'all go follow my man Ron on his YouTube channel, man. And Burrell, I appreciate you, man.
all right. Well, let me say this, Sean. The pleasure is all mine, and whenever you're in Cleveland, you're always welcome. You are motivating. I always reach out to you and tell you how proud I am because where we came from, there's only a few of us that's taking the time to change our life and trying to do positive things, not just for ourselves, but we're trying to reach other people and help them and show them and share our experience with them and hopefully motivate them to get the fullness of life. So you do that very well.
Thank you, man.
It's a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure. That's why when you called and told me, I said, look, anything you need, I'm here for you.
Thank you, man. Ron, I appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right, peace.
All right.